McDaniel's most prominent challenger wins another big endorsement. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is another declaration of truth from your host, Terry A. Hurlbut. As the Republican National Committee prepares for winter meetings this week, Harmeet Dhillon stepped closer to ousting Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel. Yesterday, yet another major Republican donor endorsed her and called for a boycott of the RNC if she loses. Before I name this latest endorser and show the very good case he makes, I do want to shout out to the prime sponsor of this channel, which is Conservative News and Views. Link in the description. And be sure to check out the awesome CNAV Store. Scroll down near the bottom for that link. Lots of great merchandise there, especially this t-shirt that I have chosen for today, which reads simply, "Freedom isn't free." One more thing. If you like what you're about to hear, you can like this video. You can also click the bell icon to get a notice every time I come out with a new one. In fact, do you see the new icon, the heart shape with the US dollar sign in it? That's the super thanks icon. If you really want to keep these videos coming, click that and leave me a tip. Any currency will do, so long as it's legal tender. Now then, reportage on this story comes exclusively from the Post-Millennial and its correspondent Roberto Wakerow Cruz. He wrote an article, to which I have left a link in the description, quoting the endorser extensively. Charlie Kirk of Turning Point USA shared the article on Twitter at 2:51 p.m. Eastern Time. Almost an hour later, another user seconded that share and explicitly called on RNC Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel to step down. So, who is this endorser, you ask? His name is Mike Rydin, R-Y-D-I-N. He is the founder and CEO of HCSS. They are construction software engineers, so they're not exactly a household name. Anyway, Mike Rydin didn't mince words. Like many other Republican donors before him, he said the Republican Party needs new leadership. But he went further. Quote, "I am now telling other large donors to quit giving to the RNC and instead give to organizations that actually make a difference." Unquote, Mike Rydin. Small donors seem ready to take that advice if they're not doing it already. 86% of rank-and-file Republican voters want a new RNC chairman, according to a recent Trafalgar Group poll, to which I've also left a link in the description. Now, Wakerow Cruz quotes Rydin rather extensively and on point. Quote, "You are like the frog that sits in water, waiting to be boiled. Our country is never going back to the good old days when you could do nothing of substance, run stupid and often insulting TV ads, and still win. The Democratic Party machine has outsmarted you every step of the way, and the same RNC chair who cannot figure out how to win against the worst possible candidates imaginable is not going to save this country." Unquote, Mike Rydin. And he has a point. Midterms should have had a different result, but we all know how that panned out. And Rydin gets right to it. Again, I quote, "Perhaps you could be excused for losing the 2020 election because we were taken by surprise. There is no excuse to have done so poorly in the midterm election. The party needs new leadership. A good leader doesn't continually make excuses. They just figure out how to get the job done." Close quote. Now here is where Rydin endorses Harmeet Dhillon. Why? I'll let him tell you. Quote, "We need a leader with the legal experience and expertise to beat the Democrats at their own games." Close quote. Legal experience and expertise. That's the key. Ronna McDaniel's other challenger, Mike Lindell, has his heart in the right place, but he is not a lawyer. Harmeet Dhillon is. Perhaps worse, Mike Lindell is Mike Who to too many. That might explain why Trafalgar, in polling Republican voters, did not even list Mike Lindell as an option. More to the point, Ryden renewed his attack on those who want the good old days. Before I quote him on that, I want to shout out to a sponsor who can really help you through the economic storms to come. That sponsor, oursilverlines.com. Do you feel like you're working harder for your money just to get by? You are not alone. The fluctuating economy, employment issues, and unexpected changes in life have left many families struggling over the past few years. Collecting gold and silver can help shield you against many of these challenges. But if you're like me many years ago, you don't know where or how to start. Our Silver Lines helps by connecting you with thousands of members who are learning the secrets to creating and protecting true wealth by collecting precious metals. Whether you just want to collect rare and unique coins or take advantage of the business opportunities this company provides, either way, they can help you learn to live an exceptional life. Visit oursilverlines.com to learn how you can build a legacy for your future. Back to Mike Ryden and his angry open letter to the Republican National Committee. Here he gets to the meat. Quote, "And perhaps you think it doesn't matter whether we win or not, because regardless of which party is in power, life will continue to get better and better here in the U.S. for you and your children." Unquote, Mike Ryden. Well, at a time when both parties left no doubt of their patriotism, that thought might have been true. I say it ceased to be true when the Democrats nominated George S. McGovern in 1972. That was the beginning. But the presidency of Barack H. Obama accelerated the progress, or regress. Ryden goes on, and here he really nails it. Quote, "Perhaps you think that massive illegal immigration with no checks on who comes into this country isn't important. Perhaps you think that begging dictators for energy doesn't matter. Or that an educational system that pushes propaganda and silences any opposing thought instead of teaching critical thinking and useful subjects doesn't matter. What about encouraging kids to attempt to change their gender at an early age? And systematically trying to get white people and people of color to hate each other with critical race theory? The list goes on." Unquote, Mike Ryden. And I would add to it, in addition to critical race theory, they're getting intersectional feminism to make sure boys and girls never stop hating each other if they won't change gender. And, of course, the theory designed to encourage them to change gender. And let me remind you, when people do that, they lose permanently their ability to reproduce. If any urologist or OB-GYN ever manages to restore fertility to someone who comes in for detransitioning, I would recommend that doctor for the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Sadly, when I say that, I mean to say that that's going to be next to impossible to bring about. But I've talked about that many times before. Mike Ryden isn't finished. Quote, "The people who are trying to destroy this country know what they are doing, and too many in our party are clueless. We need a leader who understands why this is happening, how to fight it, and who wants to fight it. This leader is Harmeet Dhillon." Close quote. Now, after writing that, Ryden called on the large donors to boycott the RNC. He called it a poor investment for most of America. He is not the first to notice, and in fact is relatively late to the game. Laura Loomer has been noticing for nearly the entire time Ronna McDaniel has held the chair. On Friday, she released an ad critical of McDaniel. She released it to Twitter, and I have a link in the description. The ad emphasizes her blood tie to Senator Mitt Romney of Utah, her record of failure and also her expenditures for private jets and so on, including one charge that smacks, frankly, of embezzlement, or his close cousin, self-dealing, spending donor cash on expenditures personal to herself. I'll let you watch the ad, and you can judge that for yourselves. And I will say this. The self-dealing charge, apparently she bought some designer clothes for herself, probably for public appearances or some such, is new to me. But the private jets, the luxury travel, you've heard me talk about that kind of thing before, at least twice. The RNC's winter meetings start tomorrow. Let's hope they get the message from Loomer, Ryden, and many others. Links in the description of the article, to the articles in the article of the Post-Millennial, to that Trafalgar group poll, to Laura Loomer's ad against McDaniel, to my Declarations of Truth Twitter account, and to Conservative News and Views. I've also left links to the awesome CNAV Store and to oursilverlines.com, as I also mentioned. You know already about how to like a video, turn on notifications, and leave a tip. On the end screen, I'm going to leave a subscribe link to my channel and links to my earlier video about Ronna McDaniel and other videos I did about what happened to the Red Wave and the Republican Civil War. This is Terry A. Horrible delivering another declaration of truth and reminding you to let the truth set you free.